Sup guys, today we got 5 new unique augments, but unfortunately 4 of them are pretty trash. The good news though, Hood is back on the menu. Here I've got a 14.4 auto search capable fleet with only permanently available and non-rainbow ships. And I'm just gonna leave it running in the back while I talk a little bit more about Hood and what this new augment means for her. A while back when I was investigating how to clear chapter 14 lethal with only permanently available ships, Hood was actually capable of servicing as the flagship, provided that you reset the battle if her barrage doesn't proc. And the augment not only makes it 100% proc rate, but it also straight up just doubles the damage against light armored enemies. This is actually really amazing in 2 different ways. First, battleships that have guaranteed arcing AoE barrages, aside from Hood, is just limited to Gascogne, who is definitely one of the best mobbing flagships in the game. However, Hood's barrage is not only stronger across the board against all armor mods, but it's also tied to her main guns, making it much more spammable. This could be potentially a downside because you can't desync her guns with her barrage, but in a full fleet, you can make up for the damage uptime from other ships, especially since Gascogne's barrage is every 20 seconds and it's extremely easy to time another main fleet ship to strike every 20 seconds. Another reason why it's so good is because flagship barrages that deal a lot of damage against light armored enemies are also very rare. Aside from rainbows, you're pretty much only looking at Richelieu. This means that Hood is now also a top tier option against light armored bosses, especially in campaign where there are enemies aside from the boss because she has so much AoE. And now she's kind of carved out a niche for herself in that she does way more damage against light, while Monarch, who was pretty much a better version of Hood before, can take care of the medium and heavy armored bosses. Her barrage doing so much damage against light also means that she can take an AP gun and then her barrage will take care of the repair ships in chapter 13 and 14. Being able to take an AP gun means she can take the 457, which is the best AP barrage gun, and since her base FP is low, the 65 FP that the 457 gives is pretty much perfect for her. All of this is not even mentioning her reload buff, which is not that significant, but it's better than nothing, and now it's always consistent. Shaving only 1 or 2 seconds off of your main fleet strikes might not sound like a lot, but it will increase your clear time by that few seconds. And one last thing, the augment also increases her secondary gun efficiency by 30%, and then this plus the new twin 137mm gun in the gear lab makes her interception much better than before, helping her even further in chapter 14. Oh yeah, and the stats are good too. Which battleship doesn't want firepower and accuracy? And while I'm at it, I'll just quickly go over all the other augments. So the Z23 one, she gains 10% main gun efficiency, but since her base main gun efficiency is, 175%? This is only a 5.7% increase in her main gun damage only, which is probably only like 3 or 4% damage increase overall. And then the FP, I guess, is a little bit higher than the purple augment, so maybe it's like a 5-6% or so damage increase in total. And then she also gains 200 HP as well as 8% damage reduction, which is about 15% EHP, but it's not like it makes her tanky. So overall, not much has changed. This is pretty unfortunate because Z23 is my second favorite starter, and I hope Javelins will be better. But for now, Ayanami's unique augment is leaps and bounds above the other 2 starters. Nagara's augment obviously can't save her, being a common ship. If anything, a retrofit would have been better for her. And then Wichita gets a little bit of evasion, but she is still extremely squishy. Double gun is kind of bad in this game because when it procs, the second shot doesn't aim, it just fires straight, so a lot of the times it misses, as opposed to focused assault or whatever the double damage is, which just doubles the damage and doesn't miss. And this doesn't fix double gun in any way. But she does get a barrage though, so if that's really strong, then she could be saved, but it's not looking too hopeful. And finally, Albacore kind of combines the Torp stat from the kunai and then also the crit rate from the dagger of the 2 sub-boxes, but the upgraded skill doesn't really change much. It makes her burn guaranteed, but then she's gonna need the middle position since the burn is tied to her barrages, and that's not what you want from a damage over time sub. That doesn't deal as much upfront damage. If you were using the USS submarine fleet though, I guess it's okay. I don't know if the upgrade is worth it though. And now I'm just gonna skip ahead to the out of ammo battles, since I don't have that much to ramble about. Anyways, I'll go over the fleet that I'm using here as well. On Hood, I'm using a 457, like I said, because her barrage can take care of the light armored enemies like repair ships, while her gun takes care of the priority heavy enemies, and the rest of the loadout is just stacking FP because her base FP is a bit low. Next up is Odin. I used an HE gun on her, but in hindsight, that was probably a mistake, and AP would have been better because my Vanguard does a lot of damage against light armor. Next up is Unicorn, who is just using a typical loadout, and I'm using the Pancake Fighter because it looks funny. They're not really much better than the Sea Hornet or Tiger Cat though, so you probably shouldn't copy this if you're not swimming in electronics. Next up is Harbin, who is really good in Chapter 14 because she deals pretty consistent DPS against light and heavy armored enemies. And you might see her dealing a lot of damage because she's getting double buffed by Changchun and Aurora. And then Aurora, who is not really like the best in slot or anything, but it's just fun to see big numbers on your other two Vanguards. And her Augment is decent, but doesn't really save her, so I can't really recommend it, unless you really like her. Some other ships that could be good in this slot are Hitakaze or Yukikaze. And then Changchun is who I'm using for anti-submarine, and she's also buffing the other two ships while being buffed in return. So that was an escort fleet, and as you can see, nobody's even close to half HP, which means that taking on two of those should be no problem for this fleet. And Harbin took MVP, but keep in mind that I am using Aurora, so the numbers are not that typical. And that was a battleship fleet, which looks a little bit more dicey, because it seems like Hood got focused a little bit. But keep in mind that she is level 120, so if you bring her to level 125, it should be stable. And she's still contributing a lot, even compared to the level 125s around her. The boss battle isn't too important, so I'm just gonna skip ahead. And with that, she has earned her 125 on cap. And a little bonus for you guys. There was a C6 Abyssal in the shop, so I built this fleet quickly and did a run. I gave her the triple gun because her reload is a bit slower than the other two, and I don't want her to miss out on Vanguard's buff. But since the triple gun has bad spread, I had to stack some spread reduction on her. And I use these fast guns because both Hood and Vanguard have barrages on fire, and I'm not syncing with Helena or anything. And finally, the results. It looks like she did a lot, but that's to be expected since she's being buffed by Plymouth, and she's also got slightly better Oxys. If we do some quick adjustment, let's take her 212k divided by 18%. This isn't exact since some of the damage comes from AA, and Plymouth's debuff should be additive with Vanguard's, so it's a little bit lower, but just for simplicity's sake, I'm gonna go with 18%, which is still 180k. And she also had some slightly better aux and spread reduction. So let's say the auxiliary and spread reduction increased her damage by 20%, which is a little bit of a highball. Even if we divide 180k by 1.2, she still did 150k, which is higher than Hao and tied with Vanguard. And this is against the single target, so she's definitely no slouch. Anyway, I've said everything I wanted to, and that's going to be the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. See you in the next one.